Breaking news! If you thought things were getting messy with the stock market, buckle up. This is only the beginning. Talk of the town is that Trump doesn't care about the stock market.
Because people can't borrow money.
Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, you can't really watch the stock market. You have to do what's right.
And there is speculation around two main reasons as to why, which I will get into here in a little bit. But just in the past week, we've seen tariff retaliation, the stock market tumbling into a potential correction, uncertainty of an upcoming recession, and the big question Trump wants to know the answer to is, when are the Feds going to lower interest rates? If you don't know, the US is currently $36 trillion in debt and counting, and $7 trillion of that debt is coming due in the next 6 months. And newsflash, we're not able to pay that off. So basically, Trump needs to refinance it. But with interest rates as high as they are right now, that would be really challenging for the US to do right now. Trump basically needs the interest rates to drop. And Trump has been asking Jerome Powell when he's going to reduce interest rates, but Powell's holding strong, saying that there is no plans to cut rates anytime soon. Okay, so back to why Trump doesn't really care about the stock market. It's been speculated that he cares more about refinancing this $7 trillion in debt that's coming due in the next 6 months than he cares about the performance of your 401k.
Nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money.
And Trump knows if the stock market crashes, Powell will be forced to reduce interest rates to help stimulate the economy. Because when interest rates are low, people will borrow money and they will invest, which will help stimulate the economy and help us ultimately recover. Trump has been found insinuating that short term, there will be pain, but long term, it will be worth it to help the US build a stronger foundation. Now, of course, he won't come out and directly say it because he doesn't want to panic the markets, but Trump does believe that the pain will not be alleviated until the interest rates go down. And unfortunately, the Feds have decided to watch the markets for a few more months because they don't want to deal with inflation. And what's even crazier than all of this is this could all be completely different just a week from now with how quickly things are moving. So if you're a savvy investor, or maybe you just have money in a 401k or IRA, you might be left there wondering, well, what should I be doing with my money? Well, it really boils down to two options. You can either A, leave your money as is, not watch the markets and continue to do what you're doing, or B, get out altogether. But before you make that decision, you really need to understand how stock market volatility impacts your financial portfolio by understanding the difference between actual and average rates of return. If you take a look at this example, we're starting with an account balance of $100,000, and we're going to see how this would perform over time with an extreme scenario that I'm sure we all pray would never actually happen with the stock market. But let's say we start with that $100,000, and if we look over here to the left, we're going to see that, let's say we start off with a really bad year, and we lose 50% of our money. And then the next year, we gain 50%, followed by another 50% loss, followed by another 50% gain. Well, what the investment advisors are going to tell you is that you earned an average rate of return of 0%. That's what you're going to see reflected on your account statement. But how does that hold up against the actual account value when we see how this performs with numbers? So if we go back to our $100,000 balance, year one, we would drop down to $50,000. Year two, we would be brought back up to $75,000 because 50% of $50,000 is $25,000, so that would bring us up to $75,000. Year three, we would drop down to $37,500. And year four, we would be brought back up by 50%, which would bring our account balance to $56,250. That doesn't look like a 0% rate of return over time. Yeah, I agree with you. It definitely doesn't, because there's a huge difference between actual versus average rate of return. Your average rate of return was 0%, but your actual rate of return over the past 4 years in this scenario would be negative 13.4%, significantly different. And this is just an extreme example. Again, I hope and pray this would never happen in real life, but just to give you an idea on how much stock market volatility really does impact the overall account balance of your portfolio. Because in most cases, the stock market actually needs to rebound by almost double just for you to break even after a market loss. Okay, you might be left there thinking after all of that, well, what does getting out look like? Now, I always recommend that people connect with a licensed financial professional that they trust where they live that can help navigate them through these factors, because this situation can be very different for everybody. And I don't know you, we haven't met yet, so I can't give you investment advice, but there are a few things that you can do to put your account in a more conservative position. First thing you can do is look at shifting out of stock and into bonds, because generally bonds tend to be more conservative. They carry less stock market risk. They still carry some risk, but less risk than stock generally. You can also look at completely removing your money from stock and repositioning it into cash, and look at holding it there until the markets basically level out a little bit, when you can go back and reinvest. The benefits to this is that you don't really have to worry if the markets are going to be up or down, because you're obviously in a more conservative position. The downside is you're kind of trying to time the market, and that's darn near impossible. So you might miss out on some really good growth potential and opportunities if the market rebounds sooner than when you are ready to re-enter it. Now, another really popular strategy today is annuities, specifically fixed indexed annuities. And according to LIMRA, the Life Insurance Marketing Research Association, just some $432 billion went into these products just last year alone. How they work is they basically put a wrapper of protection around your money, like your 401k or your IRA, and they give you a guaranteed 0% floor so you can't lose money. But they track a stock market index, so you still get to participate in the growth when the markets decide to do well. So to summarize, you basically get access to the growth of the stock market without dealing with any of the downside risk, so you can still see your account grow. And one of the best features is a good chunk of them are completely fee-free compared to that 1% or 2% or more that you're paying inside of your 401k or your IRA. Now you might be sitting there thinking, this sounds too good to be true. But it's not, because annuities are a contract. Think of them like a bank CD, but on steroids, where the annuity company is going to have your money for 5, maybe 7, maybe 10 years, and in exchange for them holding your money, they're going to give you that guaranteed floor of 0% so you can't lose money, with the potential to earn interest. Now, if you choose an annuity that is completely fee-free, yes, they're going to limit your growth in some way, shape, or form, maybe through a spread, maybe through a cap of some kind. But if you choose to pay a little bit of a fee, in many instances, you have the potential to earn even more interest than what the market does through things like participation rates, which are just basically extra interest credits. Now, based on what we talked about earlier with the difference between actual versus average rates of return, what do you think is going to cause more damage to your portfolio long term? Being capped on the growth, on the upside, or having to deal with all of the negatives when the market goes negative. That all being said, things are changing daily with our government and our economy, and I really encourage you to do your own research so that you can make the best educated money moves with your own money. Now, if you want to learn more about fixed index annuities, I have linked 2 videos here that will tell you a little bit more about how those accounts work. And as always, make sure that you subscribe so you do not miss another update about how to protect your money. Bye for now.